right, hello. I'm going to be talking today about creating a choose your own adventure and the structure that is required to get this to work. Now, choose your own adventures. I'm sure you've read a book where it says go to page 45 if you want to slay the dragon, or if you want to run away to the kingdom, go to page 33. If you haven't read a book like that, maybe you have done some interactive videos or watched an interactive Netflix. And building the structure is quite important, because if we don't build it in the right way, it's not going to work according to plan. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. I've got a big whiteboard, and I want you to be able to understand the structure of a choose your own adventure game in Python. So most games, and the game that we have looked at so far, it's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's sequential. It is a linear. It's a bit bright there, isn't it? It's a linear experience. Now, when it comes to choose your own adventure games, they need to be non-linear. They need to allow someone to turn to page 54, or, because we're Python, it's not turning to page 54, but we need to really think of the structure. So there's a number of ways we can design a choose your own adventure game, but it's important that we don't get too complicated and too messy, and we almost have to start again. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So this is linear. When we have a non-linear experience, we have branches. Okay, so instead of this, we have what looks like here. It's down like tree roots, if you can see that. So for example, here, let's do a Fortnite sort of experience. Pick up the gun, shoot a player, or run away. Get attacked by a dinosaur. You see, I play Fortnite, so I know what happens. And then or find a treasure chest and get the golden gun or something like that. So you can see here, there are different paths that can happen. And designing this in Python is not as easy as it sounds. And that we can have multiple layers, and we can get quite overwhelmed very quickly. So the way to design this is we break up the choose your own adventure game into chapters. We break it up into chapters, and in chapters, things will happen. Going back to the example of Fortnite, chapter 1 might be the first 5 minutes of playing the game, finding a gun, finding a good hiding spot. Chapter 2 might be driving a car around and running people over. And then chapter 3 might be being in the top 10 and having to build a massive, crazy fort and fight and win. So we need to think of breaking it up. And in those chapters, we can do some of this cool little branching, but it's not going to get too complicated. Now, we're going to call chapters in Python functions. We're going to put our functions so that a player could actually skip a chapter. They could skip 3 chapters, depending on how you build it. So, for example, if they are fighting in Fortnite and they fall asleep, something like that. I don't know, just if they fall asleep, they might skip those 3 chapters and find themselves fighting in the top 10 and losing and dying. So let's now create this sort of structure and see how that would work. I think that's going to work now. Excellent. Just going to double check that this is working. Excellent. So we're going to create here hashtag write exactly how I write choose your own adventure. Can I spell right? No, I cannot. Adventure. And we're going to create a little demo here of my own experience of when I first finished university. I was a humanitarian worker. And one of those things, I spent a few months in Nepal as a humanitarian worker before becoming a teacher. Humanitarian worker. Excellent, I spelled it right. So let's start. Let's have our first function, def main, and print test. Now you should always be testing every 5 minutes of code you write. You should be testing. Make sure you do that. I'll be testing, but I'll just be pausing and stopping. All right, excellent. We're now going to have our first chapter 1. And we're going to introduce this character and the different paths they've got to select. So print, you are a I got to spell this right, humanitarian worker in Nepal. Just want to make sure this audio is working because I don't really want to record this again. You are a humanitarian worker in Nepal and you have to choose which village to help. Make sure you write it exactly the same as I am. The first village needs a new well. The second village needs education on diet. I'm not writing something too seriously here. I'm just giving you a demo. And yes, I have had to do both in different countries, in Nepal and in Cambodia. That was where I was there for 6 months. Now, so player underscore choice is equal to int. We're going to turn it into an integer. Feel free to accept string if you want. I'm just going to do that. What do you choose? 1, well. 2, diet. Oh, make sure you have 2 closed brackets at the end here. Excellent. Now, if player underscore choice is equal to 1, we're going to then branch it off, aren't we? Print you install a well now. They need help with installing toilets. And no, that is not a joke. This is something that you do in a humanitarian worker. You help villagers with installing toilets, part of sanitation and hygiene. Or another village needs a well. So here we go. We write here player underscore choice is equal to int input. What do you choose? Number 1, toilets. Number 2, well. So there we go. And now we've just got another step here as well. So you start off as a humanitarian worker in Nepal. You then have to choose between installing a well or educating on diet. If you choose the well, you then get to choose installing another well in a village or installing some toilets. Excellent. So then we go, if they choose toilets, we could do this, player. I'm not really thinking of the storyline here, but you can use ChatGPT to help with the storyline. It just gives some better ideas than maybe what I'm writing here. You successfully install, I've misspelled that, toilets. All right. We then might make our player go to chapter 2. Elif player underscore choice is equal to 2. We then write here print you install a well in another village. Now, there we go. So that's sort of the structure that we're going to be building. And of course, you need to complete it all. this is just a very basic sort of demo to building a choose your own adventure story. See, you print you, and remember this one here, with indentation, we go down different layers. So this one here is a well, which is we've already done 1, and the equals to 2 is diet. So print here. I know this might be a little bit confusing. I just jumped back to the first branch, which is well and diet. And just look at the indentation here to see what line we're up to or what branch we're up to. So you run seminars on diet and the villagers learned about health. Something straightforward like that. Simple. Now, we then need to create a chapter 2. Can I spell chapter? Hopefully I can. Chapter 2 and print you are promoted to regional manager, and or should it be assistant to the regional manager? Regional manager, and have to choose to write grants or meet sponsors. This is something you've got to do. You've got to do both, but anyways. So there we go. We've now started our chapter 2. That's our chapter 2, as you can see. So we can, anytime we want, we can add a chapter 2. So you install a well into another village. We could jump to chapter 3 here, as an example. We could jump to chapter 3. We could even change this here. You install a well in another village. Unfortunately, it explodes and you die, as an example. And you could have the game over screen could appear. Now, I know that's a bit of an extreme. I do know someone, a couple of humanitarian workers who have played at a bit of, haven't been safe enough with dynamite and trying to make the holes bigger with dynamite, and getting pretty close to a situation like that. But anyways, game over. We could then end the game and say print with a new function. It has you died, game over, start again, sort of thing like that. So it's all up to you how you decide to build it. The last thing I want to say is so we have our functions, but we also need to call our functions. So it's like going to chapter 50, page 56. So you're doing one of these stories, and it says you've got to fight a dragon or you've got to run away. Turn to page 56. Well, that turning to page 56 is calling a function. We're actually sort of turning to page 56 by calling our function. And once we have called our function, this is page 56. So if that helps you understand a bit more about calling functions and defining functions, that's great. Just think of it as page numbers, and you've got to flip to the page number. It doesn't automatically flip to the right page. You have to tell what page to flip to. So hopefully that's helped you understand the structure, helped you understand how to build these choose your own adventures, and it helps you with your assessment. Thank you very much.